Was poppin', was poppin', was poppin'. Welcome to Nicky and Moose. I'm Nicky. That's Moose. What's up, Moose?
What up, y'all?
And we're on episode 38.
Let's go.
And once again, this is a lot to talk about in this episode. We're talking about the Walk of Fame. We're talking about people being back outside. We're talking people buying out all of Foot Locker, some self-esteem talk. It's a lot. It's a lot. Everything from Lil Baby to Will Smith to Nip to it's just a lot. It's just a lot. How are we feeling about this, Moose?
Man, look, the world is opening up. The day we're recording this, I'm just coming back from a trip. You was gone the last 2 weekends. So yeah, the world's opening up. It's time to shift it up a little bit. So yeah, I'm excited.
Just get into this intro.
2 kids from Queens, cut from a different cloth. Now joining forces, helping you to elevate your personal brand. Yeah, I'm talking about Nicky and Moose, bringing you a never-before-seen perspective into the mindset, the mentality, the behaviors, the driving force, but more importantly, the stories behind the people and brands that you know and love the most.
And you already know what time it is. It is the review of the week.
Let's go.
And this one says relevant, entertaining, and empowering all at the same time. It's impossible to listen to this podcast and not walk away with relevant, entertaining, and thought-provoking insights into branding, entrepreneurship, and the world of business. It's literally a branding masterclass for entrepreneurs.
Wow. Okay.
And I messed up. Yeah, I mean, first off, I messed up. For all our brand new listeners, it has been a running joke that on these reviews, I can't even say reviews.
You warm it up. It's early. The reviews.
In the reviews, I mess up somehow, some way. So that was my mess up for a bit. But that was a really good review. So
that's a solid review. Shout out. Who left that? Is there a name on that?
Yep, can't read it. But
okay,
that person, you know who you are.
We love you.
Right? We super appreciate you, and we appreciate everybody who leaves a review. Continue to do that. We appreciate it. But let's get into this episode. First off, how are you feeling, Moose? How's everything?
I'm good. I'm excited. I'll be honest. I'm also inspired. I know we talked about it. First conference trip or first trip, work-related trip. A year and a half, Nick. It's been a long time. Yes. So this is it's nice. It's nice to feel like the end is near if we're not already there. So I'm excited. I'm ready to get it.
We'll get into it. We'll go into more details about it. But let's do some celebration because congratulations to Nipsey Hussle to receive the 2022 Star of the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Let's go.
Marathon continues. Man, when they announced this, I was not actually expecting that. The fact that Nip gets a star in Cali, I think was needed and should I don't want to say he should, but
no, it's well deserved.
Yes,
it's well deserved. Yeah.
Yes, and some of the other names of people who received the star was Carrie Fisher from Star Wars. She passed away as well. Black Eyed Peas, Michael B. Jordan, Shanti, Keenan from Keenan and Kel and SNL. Who else? There was somebody else. Khaled, DJ. How did I miss that?
Another one.
DJ Khaled. Yeah, I mean, and so many other people. And if I have not mentioned you, I apologize. But I will have a question. I do have a question. That I will, this is future. But so like I said, this is no hate. This is no shade. I promise you. I'm just trying to understand, how does Khaled and Ashanti and Michael B. Jordan get a star. And it took forever for Snoop Dogg, Ice-T, not Ice-T, I think he got one, Ice Cube, Dre, like it took a minute for them to get their stars. And granted, maybe they said, you know what? It is time for us to wrap up that whole, you have to do it for so many years. And you have to have this many, I'm not going to front. Black Panther alone, Creed alone, right? There's a bunch of other roles. Like, clearly, I'm not saying they don't deserve it. I would just like to know the criteria of why maybe some of the ones that have waited for so long didn't get it sooner. So there's no shade, because I believe that each one of them deserves a star. Okay?
Agreed.
Definitely no shade. I just want to know why some so soon and some like way, like why we, did you just want to make them relevant?
Even if you think about somebody like an Ashanti, like Ashanti was probably really, really hot, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago.
Okay, this is where my shade comes in. I have no clue why she's getting one. I'm gonna be honest.
She was hot.
No, I'm not going to agree with that one. Call me back. I'm sorry. I believe certain awards, yes. Okay. I'm confused about the star because maybe I see it higher than what it's supposed to be. Okay, so maybe it's not as big, but I'm confused of that. I'm not seeing it. I'm not.
Yeah, somebody write us on Twitter if you're from Cali or anywhere, maybe a little bit more familiar than we are about what the star really means, the significance. How do you get, considered for one? I'd love to know.
Ooh, you know what? I take it all the way back. So if you clip it,
remix,
cool,
rewind,
whatever. She probably wrote a lot of good stuff. I take it back. I'm thinking about it. I speak too soon sometimes. Ashanti, please take my apology in the same way that I had already questioned it. In the same episode. You don't even have to wait to another episode for me to apologize.
No,
all right? I apologize because you probably wrote a lot of things that I am just not aware of, right? That qualifies you for this. So, you know what? I bow. You know what I mean? I apologize. That quickly. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
But shout out to Nip. But let's talk about some people are back outside. Some people are back outside. You already heard
outside.
Moose said he went to a trip and it just happened to be with the number one motivational speaker of the world, Dr. Eric Thomas. Yes, E is back outside. He was in Atlanta this past weekend, depending on when you heard this, right? On the 18th of June, he was outside, okay? In front of thousands of entrepreneurs or soon to be entrepreneurs, right?
Absolutely.
And I heard, I'm gonna let Moose speak on it. I heard the energy was crazy. He had a message and the spirit hit him and just went left.
Oh yeah.
And so, but the good thing about it is now can we expect E back on the road? What are we doing?
Oh.
People, do you want E back on the road? I'm acting like this is a live audience.
Imagine. Hey guys, let us know.
Let us know in the comments.
All right. No, man, it was incredible. I mean, you said it though. That man, and of course, we were behind the scenes kind of preparing some of the slides and not necessarily editing them ourselves, but just like, on a conversation and all that. And it's funny, I was there backstage and Nicky's texting. She's like, hey, he's been on this slide for quite some time. How's it going out there?
Right.
I said, it doesn't look like he's going to use the slides. My man did the whole hour presentation on 2 of the 33 slides we had set out for him. So yeah, if anybody's been blessed with the opportunity to hear the man speak live, you know that when he feels it and goes in a different direction, it doesn't matter what you had prepared ahead of time. Just go ahead and scrap all of that. But no, the energy was incredible, though. He tore it down. I think, it's so cool. I think what makes E so dynamic and so unique is that he can go into any space, still be himself, but connect with people on a way right where they are, if that makes sense. So it's like, okay, I'm not changing myself to connect with you. I'm still going to be myself, but I'm going to figure out how to really communicate that to you in a way that still connects with you and makes you feel like, okay, here are the adjustments I need to make. So energy was incredible, man. I thought it was awesome. Very, very well put together event. All the guys did a phenomenal job putting that thing together. And it was fun, man. It definitely gave the juices coming back. So I'm excited to see what's up next. And hopefully my man does a live event.
Listen. Okay. We may know some things. We may not. I'm not.
I'm just pretending. I'm not.
Listen, but what I will say is that I got a great text from a few people that's like, yo, we need E back. Like, if it's going outside, like, have you guys already talked about tours? Where are you going? Like, when is it happening? I saw E on stage. What? And you know me, I stir up the pot a little bit. So I took the pictures that Jose gave me. Shout out to Jose. Right. And was like, yo, it may be time. Where should we go? I put in his stories. Where do you want to see him? What is happening? Yeah. So all we can say, we outside, people. We outside. Just stay tuned to this podcast a little bit longer. If you decided that this wasn't for you anymore, just stay a little bit longer. Stay a little bit longer for very interesting announcement. But if he does, which he will, but if he does, right? If he does, what city would you like E to come out to? Let us know that, even though we have I may get a lot of Ohio's, because shout out to our Ohio listeners. But, talking about listeners real quick. Oh, do I still have it up? Let me see if I still have it up. We international. We out here. No, we really out here. I had hold on, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. But not only do, of course, we have our lovely Saint Lucia people, Great Britain.
They've been supporting since day one, it feels like. Bahamas,
Barbados, Angola, Liberia.
Okay.
Guyana. How do you say that?
Oh man, I don't know. I'm
shout
not even gonna try. Yeah, shout out to you too.
Right, shout out to y'all. And of course, everybody in the U.S., but we international, and I want to give props to all our listeners and viewers who rock with us. But since we're talking about outside, it wouldn't make sense if I didn't talk about Verzuz.
Yeah.
Real quick, not going to go too deep into this one, but Trina and Eve battled this past week or so. And the reason why I wanted to bring it up was because of how they did this battle instead of necessarily the music. So what do I mean by this is that you could kind of see it in the picture if you're watching it on YouTube, but for my audio listeners, Trina is performing at Club Live in Miami, and there's an audience, and Eve is performing in London virtually, right? Mm-hmm. Which was fire. IG Live was still going on. Triller was still going on. As far as broadcasting this with no lag, right? Wow. So there wasn't even kind of all right, let's wait till Eve catches up with the music. It seemed as if it felt like if they were in the same room. What's cool about it is that this is now the second battle where Verzuz is in Club Live in Miami. So the first one was Swiss and Timbaland doing the rematch, and they performed live at the club with a bit of an audience. Now, I believe that was more of a celebrity type audience than anything, but with this Trina and Eve one, I felt like more regular people were there. You could hear the audience, you could feel the energy, right?
Yeah.
And well, of course, Eve was in London, so she couldn't necessarily, but it felt like she felt the energy as well. So I'm thinking, is Verzuz next move kind of making, there's two things, either making Miami the hub of where you could possibly see these performances live while still getting the virtual experience as well? Or are they going to start traveling between, let's say, and still keep it a virtual thing? So if they was to do, let's say the Diddy and Dre rumors are true, right? I know they've been talking about it. So Diddy in, I don't know, Miami or LA, one of his homes, right? Shout out to multiple homes, right? But we're gonna say Miami for this point, right? No, let's say New York. He's back in New York, right? Let's say he goes back to New York and Dre is in LA, right? And they're both performing at a club, right? With an audience, but still giving that virtual vibe. I think that is a cool way for anybody who has been doing virtual events or virtual anything, right? And trying to still connect with your audience while we're going back into in-person events. How do you still connect with both audiences? Because there's some that still can't travel or don't feel safe enough to travel, right? And people who are just used to the virtual life now, and to people who have been like dying to be back outside. So I love from that standpoint of how Verzuz really broke it down to like, we're still going to give you a virtual but in-person vibe. I just want to see, is this going to be more public as far as buy tickets for this event, limited tickets only, this, that, and the third? Because I think you got to be like invited or live in Miami to understand, yo, this is what's happening. But we'll know more because supposedly Bow Wow and Shad Moss and Soulja Boy are supposed to be doing a Verzuz. I am so tuned into that. But that's just me. Moose, what you do think?
I mean, I'm still thinking about how they're going to set up the different experiences, because it's like, you know, they've broken the mold completely about what a live concert, what a music concert feels like or should feel like. And I've seen concerts streamed, but never live. Like it's something that you go back and watch, like the Beyonce did the Netflix thing, you know, that whole nine. So I'm like curious to see how they pull this one off and are able to add just new elements or new, what you would consider regularities or what's considered a norm in the industry. Because I feel like that's what's next for them. It's like continuing to send new trends or new norms in the industry. So yeah, it'll be cool. But if Miami becomes a hub, I can just see like other partnerships starting to spark up because of that already being a big town. You know, like that's already a very diverse and a party city, the whole nine. So yeah, I'm excited to see what happens next.
I'm excited. Shout out to Verzuz. Verzuz, you should really come holla at us as much as we talk about
what's
y'all.
up with
I'm
that?
just saying. I'm just saying Verzuz. Shout out to Swiss and Tim. Y'all doing amazing though. But let's get into one of the most popular topics of our podcast, because shout out to all our YouTube people who continuously run up the numbers when we talk about Joe Budden, Rory, and Mal. Shout out to those who are invested in this topic. So, for those who don't know, Rory and Mal actually came out with a podcast, right? It's called Rory and Mal. We're not going to be too complex with that. It's really called Rory and Mal. Now, we already spoke about how they addressed it on that Vimeo video, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And how they felt about the whole situation. But on their podcast that is now dropping on Saturdays, and we're going to get into that kind of that conflict right there. Mal brought up somebody asked him, like, yo, can friends do business, right? Especially with their experience, can friends do business? And he actually answered it in a different way than I expected.
You can do business with friends, and I think we got to stop acting like you can't. Because people always say, don't mix business and friends. Exactly. You can absolutely do business with friends. Like,
you should be able to. You should
learn a nigga about your friends. That's a different thing. It's just that sometimes in business you realize, oh, this nigga's just not my friend. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not my friend. I thought you were my friend, but you're not. But you can absolutely do business with your friends. It's just conversation. It's just transparency. It's just honesty, integrity, morals, character.
Shout out to the guy just staring at the wall, you know.
Listen, I didn't get that. I didn't understand. I didn't question it. I was like, that's your vibe. Everybody has a different vibe. But Moose, what is your take on the breakdown of what keeps friends and business intact?
Yeah, man. I mean, of course, he lists some very powerful traits around like things that matter in any relationships, right? Mm-hmm. He talks about character, integrity, just morals, the whole nine. It's like, absolutely. I think in any relationship, these are things that are going to be extremely important for the strength of the relationship or the well-being of the relationship. The part that honestly had me kind of like, ooh, where he said that you can do business with friends, but sometimes you get into business and realize, oh, this dude really wasn't my friend. Like, we weren't even there to begin with. That's the part that I'm like, wow, I've never thought about it that way. Because it's true. Like, growing up, we've all been told, yo, don't do business with family or friends. And the reason being is because you can't separate your emotions from what's business, or, you might kind of stay in a relationship longer than what you should be. But for at least our generation, or even I'll speak to my example or my experience, even in working with someone like yourself or working with someone like E or just any of the people who we work with regularly, for the work to work, we had to be close friends. Like, yes. I can't see it happening any other way, right? Yes. Like, we hang out together when we're on the road. I had lunch with with E's wife and his daughter. Like, like, it doesn't work if we weren't that personal and close with each other. Mm-hmm. But yeah, to kind of face that cold reality of, oh, you weren't my friend, it just kind of has me wondering, like, well, why would you go in business with me to begin with unless you were just trying to take from what I brought to the table? And it's just like a dirty, kind of cold-blooded way to even go about doing business. But it don't make sense to me. Like, that's the part that I like what he's saying, but I'm just saying in my mind, I'm like, man, why would someone do that though? Like, I think a part of the business experience is to be able to work with those who you like to work with. Mm-hmm. So to do all of that just to work with somebody who you don't really want to work with after all, man. And I'm not saying, these guys are at fault for it, but I'm just kind of speaking to the situation. Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about it from a personal standpoint, right? I'm going to talk
real
about
life
it from
scenario.
real life scenarios in this situation. So I can understand almost in both ends of getting into business and then realizing, yo, you may not necessarily have my best interests. Mm-hmm. And then from a standpoint of, I got into, like, I was cool with somebody and I actually got closer because of the business. So let me break down the positive before the negative, right? So that was with you, right? Okay. We were cool, right? Mm-hmm. We were absolutely cool, but I won't say that we were as tight as we are now, right? when we start talking about Nicky and Moose and doing something together, we're like, okay, we work together very well. We have cool conversations, but like on the personal side, we never really had those conversations until recently. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and I think that's both of us kind of like, okay, we have this relationship. We're great. Okay, let me slide one thing. Okay, you took that well. All right. At least for me. I don't know about you. Okay.
Right.
You still stayed around. You're still consistent. We talked things out. We had our ups and downs already and some weird stuff, you know, and we're still like the business never got compromised because of that, nor did our friendship get compromised. I'm like, oh, well, let me tell you about this personal thing. And then I wait. I'm like, okay, he's cool. He opened up about something too. Cool, right? But it was because of the business is why we became so close on a friendship level, right? So, which isn't, I don't know if it's common or not. It worked for me. You know what I mean? So if other people have experienced that with like, okay, we're cool, like, and then we grew this brand and now it's like, we actually live this life. Like it actually is Nicky and Moose. Like he wanted me to come on to Atlanta. Like, what do you mean you're not coming? You have to come. It's like
100%.
100%. What are you talking about? Like, I'm going here. You have to go here. And I honestly bought my ticket and then had to refund it. Shout out to the Juneteenth celebration, which is a holiday now. Shout out to everybody. But so from that experience, I can say I learned a lot about friendship because of business. Because for me, if I can't do business with you, I can't be friends with you. That's how I look at things. So that the fact that like the business side through extreme execution, shout out to all our extreme execution people and the flight assessment people and all those great people, right? Because of extreme execution and because of the podcast, right? It has grown to be a legit, like solid friendship. Now, from another standpoint of I've had a friend that as we got into business and money started to come in, you realize how selfish certain people are and in which it doesn't match my values. And I'm like, hold on, did you really just cancel me out and just thought of you in this situation? Because friends don't do that. At least for me, friends don't do that. So, and ever since those particular situations, the friendship has never been as solid as it was before, right? And so I say all this because I do believe friends could be in business, but for me, the type of person I am, it's like business actually has to come in first for us to be friends. It happened with, and shout out to Nick. Everybody knows, well, everybody should know Nick. Get me? But shout out to Nick. We met because of E, right? And he was in Jamaica doing camera stuff that he does and all that great stuff. And we started working together and we realized like, yo, we're both dumb, like together. we're both dumb together.
Yeah.
Like,
they said, wow, this is, hey.
We both have dumb moments. Like, we have a lot in common. Okay, cool,
man.
right?
I was not expecting that. That's
it's true. It's true. But then even to the point where for me with Nick is that I will put our friendship over business. So if he, and I can be very honest with this because he allows me to, when he sucks at the business side, I don't talk to him at all. At all. Because that's where my friendship goes over, because I know how I can get in a business level, and I like verbally stab people. I'm fully aware of my flaws, and I don't try to fix them at that point. But I understand how I am when I'm upset and when certain things don't happen in the manner that it should. So I kind of allow a buffer, aka Carl, shout out to Carl, to handle that from that side, because that's my best friend, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's weird, but I can still do business with him when he is super level-headed and great, and see we're on the same page, and those great times, right? But like any friendship, any business relationship too, it goes through ups and downs, right? So, but at the end of the day, what I wanted to just totally say with me, it's business and then friendship. And I don't know if that's common. I don't know. I don't know if that's normal.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I know for me, like traditionally, I've always kept them separate. And even if I started establishing like a very close relationship with someone I'm doing business with, because just a common thing, we're spending a lot of time together, work is going great, or whatever the case may be. I still try and keep a fine line between what is business and what is really, really personal, just because I'm like, man, not that I don't want to be friends or super close with that person, but I'm just like, I really want to protect what is professional, right? Now, over time, as the trust factor really starts to go there, and I think it's for me, if I were to think about like, what is that thing that allows you to kind of say, all right, fine, I'm going to like break that rule for you, is when you start to see that someone consistently has your back.
Right.
Like, oh, you really genuinely care. Okay, that's not just a business thing, because you had no gain, no reward, no interest in my well-being in that particular scenario, but you still went to bat for me or let me know about something or protected my interest, in a certain way. So I feel like those are characteristics of friends. So it's difficult to then continue treating those people as just business partners, because it's like, okay, like, dang, you just kind of went, came into the friend zone. So that's what I've noticed. That's like some things that help to keep the relationship flowing.
But what about because I mean, there's certain relationships that you have to keep business, right? And separate from both ends, right? Like, there's certain people that I would never want to do business with because of our personal relationship. I don't want to do that, right? I don't want to mess up the friendship. I know if you mess up in business, there cannot be at least for me, there cannot be a friendship if you really mess up business side for me. Now, what about when it comes to partnership? Like when you go into business together, because transactional can stay transactional, right? I hired you for a service. We have great conversations, and we both see the goal and know the results. So it seems like we have this really great relationship, but at the end of the day, it's still very transactional. But from a partnership, starting business type stuff, starting a whole brand type stuff, I believe, and that's just me, and maybe I'm naive and I don't know much. I'm cool with that, right? But me, if I'm going to talk to you every single day, I got to be friends with you.
100%.
I got to. Like, I'm not going to talk to you every single day. I am not that a business-holic person to just talk to you every single day with no, like, so how is your well-being? Like, are you, like, are you going out? Like, what'd you do today? Like, are we laughing? Like, because I need a laugh. Like, if we can't laugh, I can't rock with you. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a whole jokester.
And I think that's actually one of the ways to ruin a business relationship too, though, if you really think about it. You know, like if you're only reaching out to somebody when you, and we've talked about this, when you only need something. It's like you're now putting yourself in a category that's like, oh, okay, I already know, like I'm not necessarily excited when the phone rings and I see your name. But from time to time, and it actually strengthens business relationships when you can just like shout out to Rob Wilson. I hit Rob Wilson just the other day, and I just to check in, like nothing business related. I was just like, oh man, just sending some good energy your way. That was it. Right. And I'm like, you can see the appreciation for it because I'm sure he's usually getting hounded by people constantly reaching out, for things related to their business needs.
Right.
So like, I'm like, man, I don't want to necessarily be known as that guy. And that's one of the things that I got to say I messed up on in COVID, because COVID really like turned me into a bad introvert. I've always been introverted, but I became a really bad introvert because of COVID. Like all of a sudden I kind of like forgot people existed in the world. So I'm like, that's not cool. Like you got to start. And again, you said it, I'm saying it too. I'm not perfect, man. It was just one of those things that I'm like, yo, what happened to me? But I'm like, okay, you got to reach out to people, and not just when you need something. Like those relationships are truly appreciated so much more, because it's like, wow, that person genuinely cares. Like he knows my son or daughter's name. He knows my so-and-so's name. He asked about this situation or that situation. It's like, at the end of the day, that's what really makes a relationship valuable.
These are facts. And I think also when it comes to me, it plays into a small plug, the flight assessment, because I'm a high pilot and a high flight attendant, which I feel in this season the flight attendant is questionable at times. Yeah. It's kind of questionable.
Flight attendant's on vacation.
Yes, it's kind of questionable because I have to get used to people again, and I'm used to turning it off when I want to turn it off. So that's a different thing. But
our flight attendant's coming back. It's coming back.
Because you are outside again, right?
Yes.
I was inside and I became super people person because I could turn on the camera and say, hey, love you guys. Let's just all talk. We're all here together. Right. And I could turn it off. I go outside. Right. Yep. I go outside and it's like, Nicky. I'm like, who are you? Oh, shoot. I can't turn this off. I can't be like, hello, and then walk away and come back and be like, how are you? And then walk away. I can't do that. But me bringing that up is like, maybe that's why like if we can't do business, we can't be friends kind of thing, because still my pilot is like business, but I still need to be a friend, right? My flight attendant is like, we still need to be friends. I can't just be business with you depending on the certain business that we're doing. Like I can't just be business with you. That's trashy. Like, how would these conversations be? Okay, and so Mal said this. How do you feel, Moose? Okay, next subject.
All right, next subject.
The next subject is Lil Baby. How do you feel about Lil Baby? It would be boring. It would be trash. So that also plays along, probably, I would assume. I could be wrong. But I assume because of the flight assessment, flightassessment.com, for those who have not taken it, flightassessment.com. But because of the flight assessment, I do business and friends simultaneously because I'm a 99 and a 99. So it's, you know what I mean? I'm just saying. All right. But let's get into this next one. There has been a video that's been trending. And I also wanted to bring in like the people who are killing it in this time, right? I know we normally go through the legends, but there is a particular person that I am just extremely fond of and excited of how their decade, I'm not even going to say a couple of years, but their decade is going to be, and that's Lil Baby, right? Lil Baby, actually, let's see if I could play it. Lil Baby bought out, first off, he's a rapper from Atlanta, and bought out all of Foot Locker, right, to give back to his community, right? So for all my YouTube viewers, you can see people walking out with the sneakers and everything like that, and then you see the community handing it out and everything. But the part that I really love was what's on the screen right now, which is saying buying shoes ain't what I mean by saving community or giving back. That's some ish that I did because I've seen a lot of them had on flip-flops. When I say save the community, I mean centers, programs, jobs.
Wow.
You can't imagine the ish that I don't post. So the reason why I wanted to bring that up is because you not only show it to a certain extent, but the deeper things you don't, And we've gone over this in past episodes, as far as you don't necessarily have to show off everything, right? That wasn't even a clip that was on his social media. That was what people were recording, right? He didn't, if you go on Lil Baby's Instagram, you don't see anything that we just showed as far as Foot Locker and the people putting on the sneakers, and you don't see that nowhere on his Instagram, right? But it's the people that is like, yo, look at what he's doing. Mm-hmm. The people will shout your name and show all the things that you're doing within the community. You don't necessarily have to show that. But what's really cool about Lil Baby is just the things that he's been doing. Like, and he doesn't make light money. So some people are like, yo, okay, he just bought out all of Foot Locker. I mean, all of Foot Locker, not just some of it, like the whole Foot Locker, right? That alone is crazy. But then I had to be like, yo, let me understand where Lil Baby is as far as the brand, as far as numbers. Like, he has been so on top, but what does that really mean? And every single project, every single mixtape, whatever that he drops is instantly on the billboards. Instantly, right? His last album, Your Turn, has like made $2.3 million. And that's an estimate, right? He tweeted out I would say a couple of months ago, or maybe a year ago, or whatever. He's like, yo, I'm doing 100K on features. I'm at a point where I can ask for 100K in features because everything that he's on goes to the charts, right? Which means if he asks for 100K in features, his shows alone was reported before around 70 to 100K. That probably went up. He has merch. He has deals like Reebok. He has a YouTube that's streaming over 3 billion views. So that's a good couple millions off of YouTube check alone, right? And yet with all this, he's still giving back to the community and not flaunting that. Mm-hmm. Not, hey, I come back to the hood to do this. This is, and we're going to get into like his location and everything, but to see people like, and this is a perfect like piggyback, even though I hate that word, perfect piggyback off of our last episode, because we talked about Migos and quality control. And what do you think Lil Baby is on? Quality control. So when you hear numbers like that, and you see Lil Baby on the charts, and you see people like Drake and Young Thug and all the Lil Wayne, everybody getting on a record with Lil Baby, you're like, quality control strikes again. When I was researching Lil Baby, though, what was really cool is that he only started rapping about 4 years ago.
Wow.
He's purely natural. What Coach K said, and if you didn't listen to last episode, go listen to last episode. You'll know who Coach K is. But Coach K said, and Coach P was like, yo, you sound like a rapper. Just didn't hear him spit anything. Yo, you sound like a rapper. And he was like, yo, I always know how to put words together. It shouldn't be hard to make a song. It shouldn't be like, that's natural gift, right? Mm-hmm. Where it's not even this hard. And to see how when you stay in your natural, because he used to hustle, when you stay in your natural, how big you become. And when he fully embraced that, it was like charts, everything I'm dropping. Joe Budden dropped the interview of him and was like, yo, do you practice? Or is it like every song you just get better? He was like, yo, I do another song. Isn't that practice? He's like, no. It's like, well, I do another song and it's me getting better. I don't intentionally do things. So that alone is crazy and shows that when you don't think too much about something, that's the one that's going to make you the most money. But I love the sneaker thing.
I love that.
Yeah,
no,
I just love
that.
the sneaker thing.
Yeah, as I just watched that video play, right? And for our listeners, check out the YouTube so you can actually see the video that Nicky had playing as she was kind of like narrating or describing what was happening there, right? I truly am starting to believe in this social media era, or just the world that we live in today. Moments that define your character the most are ones that happen off camera.
Yep.
Because it's so easy to narrate or practice and do something on camera, and immediately people are going to question your intentions. Was it genuine? Like, it just takes you on a route that even if you're the greatest, most kindest person in the world, somebody's going to see it and be like, oh, of course, look at the camera, right? But for something like that to happen and him not being intentional about documenting it, it tells you a lot about that person's character. That's the first part of it.
Right.
The second part of it, now that it's out there, and we always talk about this on this platform, taking control of your narrative.
Yep.
He goes out there now and posts, it looked like what is something he posted on his story, kind of describing like, hey, just so you know, I'm not saying that I'm saving the community by passing out sneakers in my neighborhood. Saving the community, I already know, is through centers, jobs, and programs, right? So that's the beautiful part about it too, that I love that he's very well informed about. This is what really moves the needle in a community. If you're looking to give back or help it or build it, whatever the case may be, this is how you really do it. So I think those two combined, it shows that this is someone, although young, really knows, like what it is from a very just real and honest standpoint. So I love that in every way, honestly.
Yeah, I'm just in love with Lil Baby and what he's doing, and just the positive energy. Like, you don't really necessarily hear anything negative about Lil Baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
just crazy. But there's this clip that I saw that I wanted to actually spin into a branding and business kind of vibe. So watch this and listen to this with an open mind, first and foremost.
Like, you gotta stay in tune. Like, I feel like if I hadn't got in my bag and just went to LA and like left the bros, and then I wouldn't even have nothing to rap about.
6 more months left. You got 6 more months left in your career.
Yeah. Due to the fact I'm in the mix. I still know what's going on. I know what to say. I know how to say it. You don't see me falling off. I'm on what's going on. But if I separate myself from that and I'm LA, on some Hollywood shit, I feel like that's when I fall off.
Wow.
So follow me with this one real quick, because for some reason I was like, that's it, right? That's it right there. And what I mean by that is, of course, he was talking about rapping. And I know for my hip hop fans, some of y'all are going to be like, nah, he needs to get out of the hood. Boom, boom, boom. Why wouldn't he do it? And from a craft standpoint, not because of a community standpoint, not because of what he's doing, but from a craft standpoint of, yo, I will lose it. I will lose me being on top if I went Hollywood. And I look at that from a perspective of, there was something that kept us always getting new information when it comes to our craft, when it comes to our brand and our business. Like, it forever gave us the fuel and the knowledge that we needed to get our name out there, right? Or some kind of activity that we would always used to do, a routine, something we would always used to do. And the second that we see some type of success, or we get on certain stages, or we get into certain communities, or whatever kind of status, we tend to lose what actually got us there, right? And of course, when you look at it from a Lil Baby standpoint, and he's saying, yo, I'm not leaving because, this is what actually gives me what I rap about. And like I said, some of y'all going to think like, nah, he needs to leave, right? It'll show growth or something. But maybe at this season, and not saying he'll always stay there, but at this season, he fully understands, yo, I'm on top because of this, because of what I rap about, because of the information and the experiences that I see here. So if I remove myself from that, I am no longer going to be number one. I am no longer, when they say hip hop, rap, ATL, my name may not be associated with that anymore because I removed myself and became Hollywood. Now, if I become an actor, that's a different story, right? I will go to Hollywood, and maybe that's the transition in my life, because he was in How High too. So he's also an actor, right? But I look at it from, and me and you've had this conversation where it's like, there's a home court advantage when it comes to your craft, or when it comes to your branding and business. There's certain things that will keep you on the highest of high because you're in home court, right? For me, it was always learning something new every day, having these certain screens near me, and I knew exactly what I'll be looking at with each screen and how to deliver to people and things like that. And so when we talk about going back outside, and I'm laughing at the whole, maybe my flight attendant may be going down, is because now I'm not in home court, and I'm not sure how I can turn that on and off switch, right, into the delivery to people, or when to kind of learn something new if I'm always on the go, right? I was gone 2 weekends in a row, and I'm like, yo, how was I supposed to learn anything? Like, Monday came, and I always go live, and I'm like, I have no clue. Normally, I don't have any clue what I'm going to talk about, but I really didn't have anything. I was like, yo, what am I going to talk about? But I took myself out of what I get all my information from, and what people look forward to with the updates and everything. And I removed myself from there, and it was a whole different Nicky, right? So it's almost to the point where I get what he's saying, but at the same time, how can we create a vibe or a system that, regardless of if you're at home or you do move up in the world and you move to Cali, you move somewhere else, you know, you still have that kind of strength, that still kind of hunger and things like that. Because you look at Rick Ross, right? His bars elevated. He's not rapping about the same thing, right? But he got a mansion. He got mansions several places, you know? He's not living in the same spot that he was before and things like that. So while some rappers can, but it's very far and few to still stay on top of their game, he at least realized, like, yo, at this moment, maybe I don't have the discipline to be on top and rap the same way that I rap if I was to go to Cali, because my origin is here. The source that I get my power from, as far as lyrics, comes from here. What would I do over there? So I think it's a awareness and a discipline thing when it comes to that.
100%. Yeah, you know, it's funny. I got to meet Brandon. Shout out to Brandon for the first time this weekend. So dude's been working with us for well over a year. And of course, with COVID, it's been strictly virtual. We work together very closely, very virtual. Met for the first time, you know, on the trip. And we were just talking about like traveling and what type of exposure and experiences it can happen. And we started talking about like being competitive. And I was just explaining to him, and I said to him, you know, allow these opportunities to help you to grow, but don't let them change you.
Right.
Because a lot of people, what they tend to do is, regardless of what industry you're in, you allow something that was meant to help you to grow, to develop, to become better than what you were, to change you or take you away from doing the very thing that got you the opportunity.
Right.
Like, so you defeat the purpose. So I love that he's able to maintain the discipline to stay almost like in home base or stay planted where he grew up, so that he can still have a pulse on what's happening, so he can continue to tell the story. Yeah. One of my favorite movies, and don't laugh, but I actually enjoyed the movie. I think it's called, okay, now I'm messing up, because it's like, how is it my favorite movie and I don't know the name? Forget it. But let me tell you the line that I like, right? And the line is, it's what's the guy's name?
Already
Bradley
forgot.
Cooper. No, I'm getting it now. It's coming back. Like, I wanted to say A Star Is Born, but that doesn't sound right. It's something with a star. It's with Lady Gaga, Bradley Cooper. So whatever, there's a scene in the movie, and if you haven't watched it, go check it out. It's a scene in the movie where Bradley Cooper is fighting with his brother in the movie. Okay. All right. And they're going back and forth, all upset, whatever. And then the brother is mad at Bradley Cooper because he's like, yo, I was better than you. Like, I was more talented. I was the better artist than you. And I didn't have any issues like, you know, life issues, drinking problems, whatever. But I put my career on hold for you. And he said a line to him that I was like, yo, that's it right there. He said, everyone is talented, but not everyone has something to say. And you didn't have nothing to say.
Wait, first of all, you're not going to speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
And you were correct. It's A Star Is Born.
Okay, there we go. A Star Is Born. Got it. So I just was like, wow, that's it right there. We are so caught up on talent as if talent is the cream of the crop, as if talent is the most important thing. It's not, because at some point when we really truly tap into who we are, we discover our talents, and talent is no longer the thing that separates us. At the next level, it's what you have to say. Is what you're saying at its core really moving the needle, really impacting the people, or what you say you stand for? So that's something that I've always taken with me. Is like, okay, talented is great, or talent is great. We need talented people, but we're all talented. If we really think about it, like, we're God's creation, we're all talented, but not everyone has something to say. So the fact that, just so I can kind of wrap it, the fact that he's able to stay homegrown or stay home base and not go to an LA, so he can continue to collect the story, the narrative, the thing that makes him him, is so dope, because it continues to allow him to have something to say.
Listen, he's probably like, I made so much money here. Why would I go? It's how I feel about home. I made so much in the pandemic. Anyway. Okay. Let's get to the next question. So, for our audio listeners, right? Kevin Hart went on a little tweeting spree again. Okay, he does this. He gets in his feelings, right? And this really isn't any kind of shade. We've gone over Kevin Hart on our back in the day Facebook Live show. Shout out to our day ones, right? And he is a high flight attendant. So meaning that when people may get at him over and over again, he's going to address it in a time that maybe he doesn't necessarily need to. But I respected this kind of back and forth that he did because it comes with stats, right? So I'm going to read the tweets for my audio listeners, YouTube people. You'll see it, but I'll read it anyways. So he says, the he's not funny slander is the best. This is for you. I have 3 stand-up comedy specials that fall in the top 10 highest grossing comedy specials of all time. 2 of my specials are in the top 3 of all time. Let's give flowers to that. I have also turned my comedic talent into a place of business and branding and radio and other revenue streams. The hate/slander fuels me to do more. J. Cole said it best. If you're laughing at a millionaire, the joke is on you. Now back to my regular scheduled program. Live, love, and laugh. So, once again, I'm really not sure why he is addressing the public the way he does. However, I did like there's a part, and it was the second tweet that I really liked, where it was like, look, I've taken what people know me for, which is the comedy, and I actually made a brand and multiple revenue streams from what I've done, right? So you can say what you want, but because of this one talent that you make fun of, I have multiple streams of the thing that you made fun of. So I don't know why you're laughing. Well, you can, but I have turned a joke into generational wealth. Oh, look, my horns didn't even want to.
Yeah.
But it all goes back to this kind of quote, kind of bar, not quote, but bar that I saw from Will Smith. That, you know, for all our listeners, I always try to impress Moose with like this really dope bar or something. Now I'm trying to make it a regular thing. I may get it, I may not, but I thought this would go very well with the Kevin Hart joint.
We start looking to other people for our self-esteem. And, you know, sometimes we find ourselves looking in broken mirrors to get a reflection of ourselves, right? And the greatest tragedy is when you look into a broken mirror to see if you're pretty, right? And you're gonna let that person tell you about your inner qualities. And the greatest tragedy is when you look in a broken mirror and you're gonna change your face to try to look good in a broken mirror.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Moose.
Yeah, that's major. That's major. I mean, you know, I and as we bring the two together, it's like really looking at Kevin Hart's message and saying like, and let me say this first. I was actually on his page today. I went on his Instagram and I'm like, and not that I'm comparing, but I'm thinking about E's influence and impact. And then I'm looking at Kevin Hart's account. I said, wow, this person has over 100 million followers. Like, I can only imagine what it's like managing a brand or having a voice that has that amount of reach, right? Like, it can reach 100 million people. Like, that's more than the amount of people who voted for the president this year, right? Like, it's crazy. It's a ridiculous amount of people. But at the same time, it shows you that when you're not too careful around the limitations of your personality, right? And this is the reason why we're so big on a flight assessment, because as much as it can help you, it can also protect you, right? So when you're not careful around the limitations of your personality, you listen to what Will Smith said is now you're looking at, the opinion of broken people to validate something that at your core, you're wondering if it's there. And immediately it's going to throw off the image because no one is perfect, right? And it's like, that's the analogy of the broken mirror. So it's like, man, this is so critical. And I wish more people would pay attention to that. And we've said this line on the podcast before, your heroes, all of them are human. Yeah. All right, all of them, every single one of them. At the end of the day, all of your heroes, the people you look up to, the ones that you aspire to be like, they too have to sleep at night. Like, they do all of the things that you do, but they have certain routines, certain disciplines, certain perspectives, or just principles and values that help them to get to where they are. So at the end of the day, while you might want to idolize some of the things that they do, don't forget that they too are human. So like, when I listen to Will Smith say something like that, it's like, man, it's a great reminder for all of us that at the end of the day, the heroes are human.
Facts. I think for me, like, and we've talked about this a few times, but you have to, the self-awareness is so important, right? If you are super aware of yourself and what you can do and add to the world, sometimes what you can't add to the world, you're not always seeking validation from people who don't even do what you do, right? And I think that's why I have like a problem, not a problem, but I don't understand why Kevin Hart always gets such in his feelings that he always has to reply, because it's people who don't do what he does and haven't even tried to accomplish what he's accomplished, right? He listed the stats. Let me bring them back up. Literally saying, I have 3 stand-up comedy specials that fall into the top 10 highest grossing comedy special of all times. 2 of my specials are the top 3 of all time. Like, what are you, this is the thing, even if that one that he's referring to sucked, who cares? If those are the stats that you have, and you literally said a joke has now turned into multiple streams of income for me and my family, not everyone is going to hit. Not everyone's going to hit. And so when you're paying attention to it, and this is where Will Smith was like, yo, you're going to change your face off of a broken mirror. Like, you're changing or reacting to things that don't even match what you're doing. Like, it doesn't match the reflection of your goals, the reflection of your bank account.
That's good, Nix.
It doesn't go together. And so, yes, as a people person, as a person who wants to always make sure the art that I put out is for the people and they love it, you have a body of work that's done that already. You can do something for yourself. And I think that's where that last tweet comes from, because J. Cole, who we've gone over on this podcast a little bit, not the full story, or did we? I don't know. But we talked about it on Nicky and Moose, right? And he did what he needed to do for the people to be up there as far as top rappers. And then he started putting out projects for himself. As a creator, as a person who puts their craft and calls it art, that is the ultimate freedom to do stuff because you want to. So if the one that he said that he's not funny, if it didn't get the reaction that he always gets, that's okay. It still made more money than some of those people's bank accounts. It still made more money than they would ever see possibly in their life. You still have more followers. You still have a huge tribe of people who don't even care if you're funny or not. Mm-hmm. You still have a successful acting career. And so instead of always looking at what people will say, and I'm not even calling people like that broken mirror, but the goals are broken. They're different. Like they may have some pieces that are the same, but not all of it is formed into the same reflection of what you're doing.
Yeah. You know, like looking at the numbers again, it's like, I love what you said, by the way. That's incredible. I definitely, I'm listening. I'm like, absolutely. I can relate with that in a lot of ways, but I'm thinking about, he's saying 3 of his comedy specials placed in top 10. So out of the 100 million people following you, maybe you only need to listen to the other 7, not the 100 million. You know what I'm saying? It's like, just listen to the 7 who are in the top 10 with you. Like, that's the point that I think that you made, that I'm like, yo, you're absolutely right. Like, maybe we're listening to too many people and not considering the source or the value of the person who's sharing their opinion. It's like, okay, valuable people share valuable opinions.
Right.
You're not going to get a valuable opinion from someone who hasn't maybe created anything valuable. So it's like, take the opinion of the other people who are in that top 10 with you. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
And they happen to have a Father's Day special, Red Table Talk. By the time this comes out, you may have seen it. And we may talk about it on the YouTube live. We may talk about it because I'm going to watch it. You're going to watch it?
For sure.
So
absolutely.
we may talk about it on when this drops. Tonight's live. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. on YouTube, youtube.com/nickyandmoose. Follow us everywhere. Take the flight assessment, flightassessment.com. And that's all I got. I don't know, Moose, you got, we'll do the final word, but I mean,
we killed it.
This was a good episode.
This was solid. Yep.
Let me tell, actually, I'll leave it for the after show. Please look out if it isn't already active by the time this drops, because I'm working very hard to make sure this goes. We have a subscription about to come out, or already came out. Official announcement will be emailed and text out and all that great stuff on social media. But we have an after show only for Apple Podcast people. So go grab an iPad if you don't have Apple Podcast. Get you an old iPhone, whatever it is. It's all Access Squad. It's a whole vibe. And this after show thought that I have in my head is going to be on there. So, yeah.
Go catch the after show.
You know what I mean? But you already know what I'm going to say. Moose, final words.
This one is real simple, man. I look, first time out, work-related out in a year and a half. And I just want to encourage everybody, like, yo, go seek some inspiration. Seriously, like stop, get ahead of the curve a little bit and go seek some inspiration, whatever that means for you, right? I don't know if it's watching a movie. I don't know if it's going for a hike. do something different that you haven't done in a year and seek inspiration. I was giving the example of someone that's like, yo, imagine if Apple put out an iPhone or have not put out iPhones since like iPhone 7, whatever it is. And they're still expecting to generate the same amount of money on like the next several years, having never put out any new product. And it's like, for us, we're that product. So if like you don't ever feed yourself any new information or seek any new experiences or gain any new inspiration, you can never generate anything new because you're still walking as your old self. So that's just my words. Like, yo, encouraging people to go out, seek something new to generate new.